What's up, everyone? It's your girl Ariana Chanel, and of course I'm back with another recap of Love and Hip Hop Miami. And y'all know, once again, it was crazy. So we first kicked off the episode with Bobby meeting up with Tip, and Bobby's basically telling her, everything that went down between him and Jeffrey. And he tells her, yeah, I did slap, Jeffrey. And Tip's like, you cannot do that. And so he's trying to figure out how he's going to win back Jeffrey ultimately. Meanwhile, Jeffrey's at the gym trying to release some stress. And, his friends show up. And, they're basically like, well, what's going on? He's like, I really want to be with Malik. And they're like, why would you want to be with someone that played you? And he honestly just feels like, I really am in love with him. And he's basically just trying to figure out what he wants to do and what steps to take, because he really doesn't appreciate how Bobby put his hands on him. Now, Steph is recording, a music video for her new single, and Veronica pops up. So, of course, Steph is going to tell her everything that went down with the whole, the Amara paintings of her hair, and how JoJo was, saying that they were talking mess about her. So she explained the whole situation, and Veronica isn't mad. She's like, that's why I don't even like her, and all this crazy stuff like that, and how she says next time she sees her, she's going to say something. The episode does take a really sad turn when Gunplay reveals that he did lose his brother to gun violence. And so Kiara's just trying to be there for him, as the best girlfriend that she can. But she's really worried about him because she's scared that this is going to trigger him into getting back into the drugs and the Miami street life that he tried to escape in Atlanta. Now, look who is back in town. Scrappy pops up on Shay. And they're ending up reminiscing, talking about all the good times they had. But then, Scrappy's like, we could just put the past in the past. But Shay's like, no, that's not going to happen because you genuinely hurt me. And she starts talking about, everything that Scrappy's done. And Scrappy apologizes and just wants to move on as friends and see how they can, just forget about all this. So we'll see if their relationship ends up evolving more than just friends. So Malik meets up with Prince. And, this is a really big thing for Malik because at the last event, Jeffrey and Bobby got into it. And Prince is like, well, what is going on? So when Malik meets up with him, he basically tells him, hey, this is the situation that happened. And it's because I've been with Jeffrey because I'm gay. So he finally opens up to someone and comes clean about being a gay man. He says he honestly feels so much happier, but he's still very worried about all the connections that he might lose. But Prince is just telling him, like, yo, you just gotta be yourself. Like, if people really mess with you, they're not gonna worry about who you are, and it shouldn't faze anybody because that doesn't change anybody's perception of. Now, things get a little messy when Veronica meets up with JoJo, and Veronica just, cuts straight to the chase and is like, well, why are you going back to Amara saying that I've been saying this and that to her? And then, JoJo brings up, well, I heard that you said I'm too bougie enough for you to even hang out with. And, Veronica's like, well, why would, Amara even go back and tell JoJo that if that's supposed to be something that's done in private? So they start arguing back and forth about who got what money and all this crazy stuff like that. And JoJo ends up throwing all these drinks on Veronica. And they try to start fighting, but security breaks it up. So that went nowhere, and it probably shouldn't have happened. Gunplay meets with Scrappy to, basically clear his head. And Scrappy's like, what's going on? He's like, hey, my brother just died. And so Scrappy's just like, you don't seem like yourself since you moved back to Miami. And Gunplay's just like, I don't really want to hear that. Then Chinese Kitty and her mom Nikki shows up. And, they're hanging out. But then Chinese Nikki says, well, where's Kiara? Why couldn't she hang out with us? And that just triggers Gunplay. He says, you know what? I'm going to bounce, and leaves. He says, I can't deal with this because Kiara would not like this. Then Chinese Kitty basically says she wants to work with Scrappy. And you can tell Scrappy is clearly feeling the both of them. So that should be real interesting later on down the road. Now, Bobby does try to make it up to Jeffrey for hitting him by, decorating the room in rose petals and everything. But when they get up and talk, Jeffrey's just not trying to hear it. He's like, you really slapped me and I feel like you don't care. And he says, Malik was there when you weren't there, so I'm pretty much over the relationship. And Bobby's like, you're just going to throw everything we have away? And Jeffrey's like, yeah. So then Jeffrey goes to meet with Malik, and Malik finally tells him, hey, I came open about being gay. And, they share this very intimate moment, and you can clearly tell these two are really in love. The episode finally ends with Trina's performance, and she finally opens up to the radio station and the big crowd that she's doing a collaboration with Trick Daddy. So, Trick Daddy comes on stage and they end up talking, but he ends up seeing, Trina's cousin Joy on the side with her friends. He's like, He ends up storming off in the middle of the interview. And everyone's like, well, why did you storm off? Trina's trying to cover it like, Trick is just crazy. Then after the show, Trina tries to sit Trick and Joy down. And, Joy's just like, I just want to be done with the situation. I'm tired of it. And Trick's like, you're emotionally draining and you really like messed me up and you don't even see how you hurt me. So that's how the episode ended. But be sure to make sure you tune in next week for another recap of Love and Hip Hop Miami. And also go on thepettypunch.com, of course, for your latest entertainment and gossip news.